Have you ever gone to bed thinking everything was fine with your health, only to wake up one day and find out your kidneys are already failing? Imagine this: you could lose up to 90% of your kidney function without feeling a single obvious symptom. By the time you notice swollen ankles, restless nights, or constant fatigue, it might already be too late. That's why kidney disease is often called the silent killer, and tonight I want to make sure you're not one of its next victims. I'm Dr. Johnny, and I've spent years treating patients who thought they were perfectly healthy until the truth hit them like a freight train. Over 35 million Americans are living with chronic kidney disease right now, and the majority don't even know it. Not because they ignored their doctors, not because they made reckless choices, but because of little everyday nighttime habits that seemed harmless. A salty snack before bed, a late-night protein shake, even ignoring a simple urge to use the restroom. These quiet rituals can set off a chain reaction that damages your kidneys bit by bit. But here's the good news: if you know what to avoid and what to change, you can protect your kidneys starting tonight. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 of the most common nighttime habits that silently attack kidney health, explain exactly why they're so dangerous, and give you simple science-backed fixes you can start using right away. Think of this as your wake-up call, your chance to step ahead of the silent damage before it's too late. So let's begin with the first nighttime trap, one that seems innocent, but every handful you take pushes your kidneys closer to trouble. It's the late-night salty snack. Let's start with one of the most common bedtime habits, and maybe one you've been guilty of yourself: reaching for a salty snack before bed. It feels harmless, even comforting, whether it's a bag of chips, buttery popcorn, cheese, and crackers, or even a frozen healthy dinner that's secretly loaded with salt. You tell yourself it's just a small bite before sleep. But here's the truth: that little moment of comfort can quietly drive your kidneys toward long-term damage. I'll never forget a patient of mine named Robert. He was in his early 60s, retired, and proud of the fact that he had cut out soda and fast food. But every night he would sit down with a bowl of salted nuts or a handful of chips while watching late-night TV. He thought he was being careful. He even chose low-calorie frozen dinners sometimes. When Robert came to see me, his blood pressure was creeping higher, and his kidney function had already slipped to stage 3 chronic kidney disease. He was shocked because in his mind he was eating better than most of his friends. What he didn't realize was that those small nighttime snacks were packing in more sodium than his kidneys could handle. Here's why it happens. Sodium or salt makes your body hold on to water. That extra fluid builds pressure inside your blood vessels, which forces your heart to work harder and pushes your blood pressure up. High blood pressure is the second leading cause of kidney failure in the United States, right behind diabetes. The American Heart Association recommends adults limit sodium to about 1,500 milligrams per day. Yet a single bag of chips or a so-called lean frozen dinner can easily give you half or even all of that in one sitting. That means every time you snack at night, you're asking your kidneys to filter more fluid and fight against higher pressure, which over time chips away at their function. So what's the fix? It's not about never eating again at night. It's about being smart. Swap out the salty chips for a bowl of berries, apple slices, or a handful of unsalted nuts. If you love popcorn, try air-popped without the heavy butter and salt. And most importantly, become a label detective. Sodium hides in everything from deli meats to healthy microwave meals. Watch for it, because your kidneys pay the price for every extra sprinkle of salt. Now, I know some of you are thinking, come on, it's just a snack, it can't be that bad. But remember Robert, he's not alone. Millions of Americans fall into the same trap, and it's one of the reasons over 35 million people are silently living with chronic kidney disease right now. But here's the catch: knowing about salty snacks is only step 1. Because even if you swap them out, there's another nighttime habit millions of people think is healthy, yet it may be quietly straining your kidneys even more. And this one has everything to do with protein. Now, cutting back on salty snacks is one thing, but what about protein? For years, we've been told that protein is the holy grail of health. Trainers say, pack on more protein if you want muscle. Nutrition blogs hype it up as the answer for weight loss, and many people take that advice to heart-downing protein shakes or high-protein meals right before bed, thinking they're doing their body a favor. But here's the reality: if your kidneys are already vulnerable, this habit can quietly push them closer to failure. Take Margaret, a 58-year-old who came to see me. She was dedicated to her health. She worked out 5 days a week, had a personal trainer, and took pride in her clean lifestyle. Every night after her workout, she drank a large protein shake with over 60 grams of protein, followed by chicken breast or steak for dinner. On paper, it looked like discipline. But when we checked her labs, her creatinine was rising and her eGFR was dropping. She had early-stage chronic kidney disease, and the high protein load was forcing her kidneys to filter and strain harder than they could handle. She was shocked. She thought she was doing everything right. Here's why it happens. Protein breaks down into waste products like urea and creatinine. Normally, your kidneys filter these out without a problem. But if you already have risk factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, or even just aging kidneys, overloading them with protein at night forces them to work overtime at the very moment your body is supposed to be resting and repairing. Think about it while you sleep. Your muscles recover, your brain resets, and your organs restore balance. But instead of resting, your kidneys are stuck in overdrive, pushing waste through your system. The science backs this up. Studies in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases show that excessive protein intake can accelerate the decline of kidney function in patients with chronic kidney disease. While protein is important, the key is moderation and timing. The general recommendation for at-risk patients is to limit protein to about 0.6–0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight per day, but this varies based on your health profile. That's why it's critical to consult your doctor or a registered dietitian before following a high-protein trend blindly. So what can you do instead? Don't ditch protein altogether, your body still needs it, but balance your intake. If you love your evening shake, cut the portion in half and pair it with some vegetables or fiber to slow absorption. Swap heavy meats for lighter proteins like fish or plant-based options such as lentils, beans, or tofu. And most importantly, spread your protein throughout the day instead of dumping it all right before bed. That way your kidneys aren't forced to handle the full burden at once. Now let me ask you, have you ever thought you were eating healthy only to find out you might be stressing your kidneys without realizing it? Drop a comment below because I read through them and I want to know if this resonates with you. But just knowing the risks of protein isn't enough, because there's another nighttime habit that millions of people are guilty of, and it doesn't involve food at all. In fact, it's something as simple as ignoring your body's natural signal. And this one might surprise you even more. So we've talked about protein straining your kidneys while you sleep. But what if the danger isn't in what you eat, but in something you ignore? One of the most overlooked nighttime habits is holding your urine overnight. It sounds trivial, who wants to get out of bed when you're cozy under the blankets, especially on a cold night. But this simple act of, "I'll just wait until morning," can trigger a chain of damage that ends in serious kidney disease. Let me tell you about James, a 65-year-old grandfather who always prided himself on his strong bladder. He used to laugh and say, "I don't get up at night like my friends, I sleep straight through." He thought it was a sign of health. But behind the scenes, that habit of holding urine for hours at a time gave bacteria the perfect chance to multiply. Eventually, James developed recurrent urinary tract infections. One infection climbed up to his kidneys, causing a condition called pyelonephritis. By the time he came to see me, his kidney function had permanently dropped, and he couldn't believe it all started from something as simple as not getting up to use the bathroom. Here's the science. When urine sits in the bladder too long, it becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. Those bacteria can travel up the ureters into the kidneys, causing infections that scar the delicate tissue. And kidney tissue doesn't regenerate. Every scar reduces your kidney's ability to filter blood. A single kidney infection can cause damage, but repeated infections, they speed up kidney decline dramatically. Data from the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases shows that recurrent kidney infections are a known pathway to chronic kidney disease. And the sad part is, most of these cases could have been prevented by simply responding to the body's natural signal. So what's the fix? Listen to your body. If you feel the urge, get up, no matter how warm your bed is or how inconvenient it feels. Train yourself to see it not as a disruption, but as protection. Keeping your bladder empty at night reduces the risk of infections and preserves kidney health. For those with medical conditions like an enlarged prostate or overactive bladder, talk to your doctor about strategies to keep your urinary system safe. Now, I want to ask you, be honest, how many times have you ignored the urge to pee at night, telling yourself it could wait? Drop your answer in the comments, because you're not alone. and sharing might just help someone else realize they're making the same mistake. But just knowing that holding urine is risky isn't enough, because there's another nighttime signal from your body that many people shrug off, and this one could be an early warning sign of kidney disease itself. And if you ignore it, the damage could already be underway. If holding urine is a silent threat, there's another nighttime signal your body might be sending that most people brush off: restless legs and nighttime cramps. You know that strange pulling, twitching, or uncontrollable urge to move your legs when you're trying to sleep, or the stabbing cramp that makes you sit up in the middle of the night. Many dismiss it as just aging or bad circulation. But here's the truth: those restless legs may actually be your kidneys crying out for help. I remember a woman named Linda, 61 years old, who came to me after months of poor sleep. She said, "Doctor, my legs just won't stay still at night. Sometimes they jerk so much I keep my husband awake." She tried stretching, warm baths, even over-the-counter remedies, but nothing worked. When we ran her labs, her kidney function was declining, and she had imbalances in minerals like potassium and magnesium. What she thought was a sleep problem turned out to be an early red flag of chronic kidney disease. The science explains why. Restless leg syndrome and nocturnal cramps often point to electrolyte imbalances, too much or too little of key minerals. These imbalances are common in patients with kidney dysfunction because damaged kidneys can't regulate minerals effectively. A study in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that restless legs are significantly more common in people with CKD, sometimes appearing years before obvious lab abnormalities. That means your body may be waving the warning flag before the numbers on your blood test even turn red. So what can you do? First, never ignore these signals. If your legs are twitching or cramping regularly at night, don't just write it off as getting older. Ask your doctor to check your kidney function, specifically your bun creatinine and eGFR. Don't accept normal as an answer without details. Second, focus on balance, stay hydrated, stretch gently before bed, and talk to your healthcare provider about checking your electrolyte levels. Sometimes even small corrections like adjusting magnesium intake can make a difference. Now let me pause and ask you, have you ever been kept awake by restless legs or jolted out of sleep by a sudden cramp? If so, type yes in the comments. You might be surprised how many others are going through the same thing without realizing it could be linked to kidney health. But just knowing that restless legs might connect to kidney disease isn't the end of the story. Because the most underestimated threat of all isn't a cramp, a twitch, or even food. It's what you choose to drink or not drink before bed. And this last habit may determine whether your kidneys stay strong or head toward dialysis. We've talked about food and body signals, but now let's address the most underestimated factor of all: what you drink or don't drink before going to bed. Many people think thirst is just a minor discomfort. They brush it off, fall asleep thirsty, or grab the wrong kind of beverage to quench it. But ignoring that thirst or choosing poorly can silently rob your kidneys of the blood flow they need to stay alive. Take Anthony, a 67-year-old retired truck driver. He had a habit of pouring himself a tall glass of soda every night before bed, sometimes switching it up with sweet iced tea or a nightcap of whiskey. He thought it helped him relax. But when he came to me, his kidneys were struggling, and his blood pressure was dangerously high. His nightly ritual of sugary, caffeinated, and alcoholic drinks was a perfect storm: dehydration, sugar spikes, and increased blood pressure, all hammering his kidneys at the worst possible time. Here's what's happening inside the body. When you go to bed dehydrated, your kidneys don't receive enough blood flow to filter waste efficiently. This is called prerenal azotemia, and if repeated often enough, it can lead to permanent damage and chronic kidney disease. Add in the wrong drinks like sodas or juices loaded with sugar, and you fuel diabetes, which is the #1 cause of kidney failure in America. Caffeine can spike your blood pressure and act as a diuretic, making you urinate more and lose even more fluid. And alcohol. It shuts off your body's antidiuretic hormone, essentially forcing your kidneys to dump water, leaving you even more dehydrated while you sleep. The fix is simple but powerful. Don't go to bed thirsty. Sip water steadily throughout the day instead of chugging a large amount all at once before bed. Most adults do well with 2 to 3 liters of water daily, though this varies if you have heart or liver issues, so check with your doctor. Keep a small glass of water by your bedside, not to guzzle, but to sip if you wake up thirsty. And most importantly, avoid making sodas, juices, or alcohol part of your nightly routine. Your kidneys thrive on consistency, not extremes. Now I want you to pause and think, how many nights have you gone to sleep thirsty, or with a can of soda, or with a glass of wine in your hand? Share it in the comments. I guarantee you're not alone. And talking about it could be the wake-up call someone else needs. But here's the kicker: just knowing about these 5 habits isn't enough. Because the real turning point isn't just awareness, it's action. And in the conclusion, I'm going to show you how one small change starting tonight can protect your kidneys for years to come. So now you know 5 simple nighttime habits that may look harmless, but can silently chip away at your kidneys. Don't feel overwhelmed. You don't have to change everything at once. Even one small adjustment tonight, whether it's swapping chips for fruit, getting up to use the bathroom, or sipping water instead of soda, can set your kidneys on a better path tomorrow. Remember, progress is about consistency, not perfection. And if this video gave you even one aha moment, I encourage you to save it so you can come back whenever you need a reminder. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell, because every week I share the latest medical insights and practical tips to help you protect your kidneys and live a healthier, longer life. Your kidneys work silently for you every single day. You deserve to give them the same care in return. Stay hopeful, stay consistent, and know that even the smallest changes you make today can ripple into a future where dialysis is not your story, but health and freedom are. I'm Dr. Johnny, and I'll see you in the next video.